Hello, I'm Nicole, and today I'll be your host for this episode. We are going to meet Jay, a Fintech enthusiast from SMU who has done numerous product internships.
Turning into Lorong product.
Hi Jay, nice to meet you. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself first?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Jay. I'm actually a final year student in SMU Information Systems. So this is my final SEM, and I'm currently interning at GXS Bank as a credit products intern. So I think just a bit of background on myself before uni, I actually was doing architecture design in poly. So when transitioning into uni, it was quite a different scope for me, like into information systems, having to do a lot of coding. But I think the main thing that I wanted to actually start off was doing like UI UX design. So naturally, like we're talking about product management, this was the initial path that I set for myself, like to come into IS and then actually do something like UI UX design. But I think along the way, when I'm taking all the mods in SMU, I found out that not much of it has to do with UI UX. It's a lot more on the tech, on the business side. So when I combine all these three things, like you know what they always say, like product management is a Venn diagram of the three things, right? Design, business, and tech. So naturally, I think like that was something that interested me, and then I slowly ventured into it through the different internships. Yeah.
I mean, since you had interest in fintech and also from info systems background, maybe
Mm.
why do you decide to go into product more than data analyst roles?
Yeah, so definitely any role other than software engineer, right? So for me, I cannot code that well. I can read code and I can understand code, but I cannot code from scratch, without the help of ChatGPT now. But I think the point is that I never really saw myself very strong in that area. So I was thinking to see what are my other strengths. So looking back, my strengths were more in design, and I think along the way the mods that I took, coding mods were doing very badly, but the more business side mods were quite good. So naturally that helped me to kind of understand where my strengths were. So kind of went straight into something less technical for my first role, and then through experience after experience, then it solidified I think my passion for product management. Yeah, and along with PME and everything. Yeah.
That's good. Maybe you would like to share one of your interesting internship experiences now that you have done a few internships.
So I think majority of the internships I did, I think half of them were in financial services. So and in fintech, I think fintech is a space that interested me. I found it very fast moving. So whatever you read on the news, it changes every now and then. And for myself, I just researching into things that are disruptive in nature, like disrupting traditional banks and things like that. So for myself, that's the interest side for fintech. But sorry, what's the question again? I think this part you can ask again. I mean, who's gonna
maybe out of all the different internships
what's the
you
most
did,
interesting?
in the fintech space.
So leading up to that question, actually I was planning to share more about the current role I'm in GXS Bank. It's actually not really a product management role. It's credit products, but it's a business team. So we actually have to do a lot more focus into one product, and not really talking to the engineers or the product managers, but really driving the growth of the adoption of the product. So getting more customers in and acquiring more customers, as well as making current customers, existing customers, draw down more loans, and just adopting more of the features that are already in the app itself, right? So that's very interesting because I think although it's quite a corporate setting, but it moves a lot like a startup. Every day you have no 2 days are the same, right? Every day you have new things to look at, you have new meetings that will set up new projects for you. And yeah, I think I'm only in it for not even a month yet, but I feel like I'm doing so much more than a lot of other internships that I've been in, and it feels quite like a full-time role. Yeah, so very interesting. Yeah, and because the product is really growing from a very early stage, so it's only been released. It's a flexi loan product. It's only been released, I think mid last year. So now it's only been a year plus, not even a year. Yeah, so a lot of potential to grow, and that's why a lot of things are moving very fast. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you mentioned that at your current intern, things are moving very fast and things are very fast paced. So would you say that you have run into any challenges at your internship?
In my current internship, definitely a lot of things to manage at once. I think every day you're roped into new projects or like new initiatives that they're trying to push out, new campaigns, and it's quite a lot of things to manage. So on my end, it's quite a challenge even now, even after having gone through a few internships and like managing different projects. But I think depending on the load, sometimes it gets quite overwhelming. But for me, just having a tool to really like manage your task and your projects at one go is very useful. So I use Notion a lot, to just have like my own database of things that I'm working on, setting like reminders and deadlines all within one platform. So for me, it's like if I have that, it helps me a lot to stay on track with what I'm supposed to deliver and just to perform well in the internship. Yeah. And I think so in the past, some other challenges that I face, definitely along the way through internships, you learn a lot about managing very different stakeholders. So back in C-Money, it was quite an interesting role. It's a team in compliance, so IT compliance, where we were working on an internal product. Actually, I was the only one working on it, and we had to actually talk to a lot of the engineers there of how the original code base was working, because we had to report those financial controls to the auditors, and the software itself, the platform itself had to also help with that. But I think the challenge was really talking to people from different like Chinese speaking people, and even in my first internship was a Philippines bank, and they were speaking Tagalog. So I think even though they have very different language barriers, the ultimate thing is that when you have these like requirements or anything that you pass down to your developers, it has to be very clear. So clear that maybe they can put it in Google Translate and then they can still get like the understanding of what they need to do and things like that. Yeah. But I think there's definitely a lot of technical things in each space where, say like in Fintech, you need to know a lot of terms. Like the domain knowledge needs to be there. If not, ramping up is quite hard to really get to understand the glossary of terms and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that challenge itself, in school itself, it did help that I was taking a track in Fintech, so a lot of the modules covered a lot of this content, and also like a lot of self-reading to get yourself updated with all these things that are happening in the space, which is useful. Yeah.
What do you think maybe would be like your greatest like personal achievement at like your internships? Like maybe something that you did and you were like, I did it.
Oh yeah, so this is not in a Fintech, it's in Shopee itself. It was a project that I think my supervisor just passed it to me without any guidance. So it was to do a lot of research, like really live research with face-to-face as well as like online, to get a whole, all the pain points, a whole presentation on how the process, I was in the order team, the order conversion process, like the places that we needed to improve and what are the perspectives that people had that will make, that will channel into the decisions that they were going to make in that quarter. So when they passed it to me, it was like a blank slate, right? So I was leading that initiative by myself, and we had to get a lot of like foreign, international people to come in, like different regions from not just Singapore, to do the interviews. And from the start, just really having the framework out, planning how your research method was going to go and things like that. I think I never expected myself to do such a full research, but I think as part of being a product manager, I think user research is something that sometimes people don't really like experience or cover. So that project itself really helped me to kind of understand how important these kind of processes are, even just to go through it once, to really understand the empathy side of your product and to know what people are thinking and how they are using a product, interacting with it. That will really form your knowledge base for how you like come up with features or improvements. Because I think without that, you're really doing a lot of assumptions, and also by using data, although it's quantitative, but the qualitative side is also very important because some perspectives cannot be quantified with data. So that's an interesting project that I did, and we really managed to get a lot of good feedback and a lot of insights that was presented to my hiring manager, and they were quite amazed with it. So they did take that into account into one of their newer revamp projects for like the checkout page and everything. So quite an interesting project. Yeah.
Okay. So I heard that like you were a part of like the first iteration of like SMU's PME like program. So maybe you would like to share about like how it was like since now like they have revamped it. So like maybe you could share about your experience.
So I think before NUS Product Club came around, SMU, they just started this new club. I think James was the one who started it together with one of the co-founders. I think they actually started off not having a curriculum. They had weekly like PM 101 sessions online on Zoom. This was like a bit of the COVID period. So I actually just tuned in to it every like Tuesday night. And there were some interesting points because they did invite some people to come and speak, but they also shared from their own perspective, like of them having the experience in the internships, how certain like product frameworks were being used and things like that. So I think eventually from there that piqued my interest, and then when they first came out with this curriculum, it was something that I really wanted to join because I kind of was trying to go into the space really. So they had a few rounds of interviews, some cases for the participants, but ultimately what was really useful of the PME program was that it's a whole community of people who are interested, having like that passion for product management. So you kind of get to know people, like-minded people, and network with them also. Like just like go through different experiences together, learn different frameworks, different. You know what's really good about the program is that you get to meet a lot of people who are also interested in product management, and you get to journey with them through the initial stages of like learning all these new frameworks and things that we never really heard before. Yeah, so what was especially good as well for curriculum wise, they actually, I mean, it's the first run, but it was really done really well. They actually invited guest speakers from different parallels. So you even had product design. You had a designer coming, like a UI UX designer coming, to just give everyone like a perspective of her work and the things that she need to do in relation to maybe like working with PMs. So you get their perspective as well as other speakers who came in to teach us really like maybe what are PRDs and how do you make a good PRD and things like that. So it's technical and also a lot of exposure into different perspectives, which was really, really good because every week we are like refreshed with a new speaker, a new guest who was teaching us from real life experiences, which I think definitely helped me just getting that product sense from the start. Even if I didn't know a lot of things, that gave me understanding of like knowing what you don't know, and then from there going on to research more on things that you know that you have gaps in your knowledge, as well as just trying to apply them into your own internship experiences. Yeah.
Do you feel that like the things that you kind of learn, like whether it's like the technical skills, like the knowledge from the curriculum, actually like help you in your internship?
Definitely, because there was this one session that they were teaching on interviews, so how to like ace your product interviews, and they were teaching from their own experience how they came across like product cases and challenges. So they actually broke it down into one of the speakers. They broke it down into different types of questions that you might be asked in a product interview. So you have, let's say, like product diagnosis, or you have honestly I cannot remember, but there's different frameworks for each question, and there are certain a flow of things that you can kind of answer in your head. So when you watch those YouTube videos of PM interviews, like reading the book, like cracking the PM interview, they do have certain frameworks for you to follow, and I think that's where I first discovered that these frameworks exist. And then from there, I went to research more and read books myself that really helped me to really like, when it came down to the interviews itself, I knew how to actually prepare for it. Like compared to if you didn't have this exposure, you wouldn't know that maybe these frameworks exist, maybe these terms or like these things that you look at a product case, is it important or not? Like, these are the things that we were exposed to, which was good. Yeah.
What books do you read that were like related to PM?
There's one book that is quite straightforward. It's not say like very, very good, but it simplifies things a lot for someone first reading, understanding a framework that is easy to use. It's called Decoding the wait, I can't remember the exact. I think it's called Divide and Conquer, something like that. I need to recall, but it's quite a good book because they give you like acronyms to guide your frame of thinking. So apart from that, there's also like podcasts that you can listen to, like Lenny's podcast. They always recommend it. And generally, I think just searching online, like whatever interests you that is related to product, I think it's just good exposure to listen to it or like just read about it. But frameworks wise, I think the books are helpful.
Thank you, Jay, for coming down today and making time to sit with us and talk for this podcast. Maybe do you have any advice you'd like to give to maybe students that are interested in pursuing like a career in product?
Yeah, I think for people who are first coming into product management, like they know they want to try, but maybe they don't have the prior experience or anything like that. This was mentioned, like I think in some of the networking events, the people who are working were also sharing. Try to go into like something that's a parallel, like doesn't have to be product management. Something parallel, like even product marketing. Something with product. Like even the role I'm in now, like credit products, is a business role. It's not even product management, but it gives you a very good understanding of things like metrics that you measure for certain product. And I think these things are just tacit knowledge that you get along the way, like just being with your colleagues and hearing how they talk about the product and things like that. So yeah, I think definitely try to start from there. My first ever role in Union Bank was also not really product management, it's a product owner intern. So that one was a lot about this like technical project management, which there's user stories and all this like PRDs to write, but it's also a bit different from what you see in a normal product manager. So I think different experiences, they're all transferable to product management, which take any chances you get and don't have to be too picky on like securing an internship that is only in a company that you want to work in. I think startups are also great. I didn't really share, but one of my best experiences was in a startup also. It wasn't really product management itself, but it's more UI UX. So that itself also gave me a lot of knowledge of like how they try to do like product market fit and all these things. So very interesting to just explore. I think that helps a lot eventually when you start a full-time role. I think internships are meant for you to just go and try something, and it doesn't really matter whether it aligns fully as long as you get yourself exposed to different things.
Do you think like it will be also helpful for students to like join PME curriculums or like PMR 1E curriculums?
I think PME is a really great place to start. Like what I was sharing just now, things that you don't know exist, that's where you get exposed to that kind of knowledge. And then from there, that's where you do your own research, your own homework to understand more about, like the things that you have gaps in. And then slowly form your own interest. I think your own interest has to be there to really progress through this journey as a peer. Great.
Thanks for coming to the end of this episode of Lorong Product. Click here to see more of our previous episodes.